I'm Rachel from Rachel's Guest Tutor at Pretty Witty Cakes, and in today's little free tutorial, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how to make really easy, simple filler, what should we call them? Berries and buds, okay? So if you were maybe making a cake with a really nice floral arrangement, you don't always have to just make flowers and leaves. Sometimes just by gathering together, you can see here, there's probably about 8 or 10 little buds or berries or, what's another word for them? Buds, berries, all gathered together in a little clump, make a really nice, attractive little filler. Okay, so any gaps that you've got to fill, in fact, just flashing up on screen now as well, I've got a cake where I've used these lovely gold balls in between some flowers that I've done. I've also done a nice frosted cake for you guys here as another tutorial where I've used a silver version of that. And again, if you've just got a really nice floral arrangement and you just need to fill in some gaps, but you don't want leaves and you don't want flowers, these are really just buds. And there's all sorts of different ones you can do. And it's so simple. We've got little balls. These ones have actually got a little bit of pattern in them. And this is a slightly bigger one. Okay, so they're all done using a very similar technique, which I'm going to show you now. Just need some simple things. So I've got some little wires here, and if you are gathering together lots of buds, go for the thinner style of wire. And if you're only doing one, go for a slightly thicker wire, okay? So just randomly, I've got a little bit of yellow here, and we'll just run through each of these ones quite simply. So to do a ball, quite simply, roll a ball, okay? A nice ball, and then what you're going to do is dip the end of your wire into some glue. Now, a really neat thing to do is to bend a tiny, teeny little hook in the end of your wire, and that way it's going to anchor itself into the ball a lot easier once you've dipped it in the glue. So do that using some pliers, and then just dip the end of it very gently into the glue, and then just push it about halfway in to your little ball, okay? Then it's going to anchor itself. If you want to give your little ball a bit more detail, grab one of these modelling tools. This has got a slightly finer end on one bit and a slightly thicker one on the other. I think this has got 5 divisions and this one's got 6. And if you hold your ball gently and just push that into the end, do you see it makes it's almost like a little red Christmas berry or a holly berry. It just puts a little bit of detail in the end there, okay? So just having one on its own isn't really going to work. You're going to need these in groups, just like this little one I've done at the end here. So that's just doing a simple ball. So you can do small balls or big balls. Next up, let's get a slightly bigger ball. There we go. Okay. If you then roll that ball ever so gently into a little cone, okay, like that. Then take your wire with the little hook in it and dip it in there. And then just insert that very gently into the base. Okay. You can then just very gently, using the base of your finger and thumb, just roll that, okay, just so it secures nicely to your wire and doesn't fall off, okay. So you want it to be in a nice point. Then what you can do is grab another one of these modelling tools. This has got like a little knife on the end, but it's not too sharp. And we're going to use that to indent our little bud. So just come and just push down gently all the way across the top of your bud. Okay, can you see? And then just gently run that knife all the way down just to bring that score line a little bit further down. I'm going to turn it round. And then I'm just going to turn it and do exactly the same in the other direction. Okay. So just put a little cross, like a hot cross bun, in the top of our bud. Okay, and that quite simply is it. Okay, make sure he's straight and neat, and then pop him into the tray. So again, one on his own isn't going to look great, but if you bunch together 2 or 3, here you go, I do have 3 here that I've made. Bunch together 2 or 3 and wire them together. You can pop those in amongst your flowers. Sometimes, depending on what colour you've decided to make them in, it might enhance your buds a little if you just come across and use a little bit of powdered dust, colour dust, and just put a little bit of depth into your buds. So I've just got a little bit of green here. It's just going to bring them to life just a little bit more. If I just a little bit more on there. If I hold them up against one another, you can hopefully see. It's a bit tricky to see the difference in this light, but it just picks them up and stops them being so flat. So yeah, do feel free to add a little bit of colour dust. Make sure you've got them together in groups. Then I'm going to show you this little one. This is quite cool. This is more of a ball, and this has got a few more crisscrosses in it, okay? So grab my paste. So this time we are going to form a bit of a ball. Get your wire with a little hook in it, dip it in the glue, and then just push that into your ball. And then what we want to do is we just want to pinch in the underside of our, you see there how I'm just pinching in the base of my ball and just starting to sort of twiddle it together so that I'm making sure that I've attached it really nicely onto my wire. And then I'm just going to flatten the top down a little bit. So it's more of a sort of fat mushroom shape, okay? So you can see it's nicely attached. And then I can hold that between my finger and thumb and use this tool again to just come across the top and down the side. So you could score as many lines on it as you want. These almost become a bit like seed pods, I would say. So just go one that way, maybe we'll go another one that way. When you've gone across the top, you could just make sure you've come down the sides on each of those lines just to bring that all the way around. Make sure it's indented really nicely. Okay, you know, you get those bags of potpourri. I hate the word potpourri or whatever you call it from your supermarket, and they've got all these funny little seed pods and heads in it. It's almost like that kind of thing. So again, it's just giving you something a little bit different to poke in and amongst your flowers. So that's how I would do that little seed head. And then last of all, we've got just this slightly larger one here. So this almost becomes the bud of a flower. Maybe it's the bud of a lily. Let's grab, we've got a slightly brighter green here. So I'll just show you this last one, and then you can get a little bit creative. Use these tools in different ways. Yeah, so we've got a slightly bigger ball there, okay? And then just use the edge of your hand or your finger just to start to form a bit of a point. And then grab your wire. I have to say this wire is probably a tiny little bit too thin for this bud, but it's all I've got left now. We'll just pop that in there, and then we're just going to feed that into the bottom of our bud. See, the heavier the end gets, the stronger you need your wire to get, otherwise it's going to get a little bit floppy. But okay, so that's nice and secure. And then using this knife, we're just going to push quite firmly now into the side of our bud, like that. Okay, and then I would turn it round and do the complete opposite. One more, so we've got 4 lines in this one. And then if you feel you haven't pressed down quite firm enough, you can always go back and go over one of the lines. And what you want to do is bring it to a nice point at the top, and then it looks like it's a flower bud almost about to open. Okay, there we go. It is a bit like a lily bud. Okay, so those are some really nice ideas for you guys at home to try when you're making a nice floral display. And that's our little buds and pods.